Hi, welcome to the Motion Picture Notion. I'm your host, Gabriel Burton. So I've recently moved to a bigger and better place, thus the hiatus in between videos, and also I've not quite figured out a new place to film. So right now I'm just going handheld for the hell of it. And for my first video, I would like to do the Twilight Zone movie. The original show, The Twilight Zone, it's very difficult to actually find a genre for it. It's not a horror. It's not exactly a science fiction, though some episodes are a little bit more sci-fi. The movie really goes for like a more like horrific aspect. And I actually liked it because they took a lot of like very familiar ideas and they made them different. They executed them in a totally different way that I thought was very creative. Now, that is not to say that the movie isn't without its flaws. There were 4 directors that directed, obviously, the 4 episodes that made up the movie. There was also like an introduction that was very eerie, off-putting, and actually kind of disarming in a certain way, as my fiance said, because they had 2 comedians portraying the roles. It kind of like lulls you into this sense that like, you know, everything's okay, but you know, at the same time you're watching, you're like, this is the Twilight Zone movie, something weird's gonna happen. But at any rate, really good dark opening. Didn't particularly make a lot of sense, but I'll get to that. The first part of this movie was directed by John Landis, who also directed An American Werewolf in London. And this was really the determining factor of pretty much everything else that happened with the Twilight Zone movie. The Skit is about a man, played by Vic Morrow, who has lost his job and he goes to the bar with his friends and he's just this like bigot, racist, obnoxiously, offensively loud hater of all cultures that are not white Christian. And like even his friends who under normal circumstances are used to his shenanigans are like telling him, all right dude, like come on man, you need to fucking calm down. Vic Morrow has traditionally been cast as sort of like a bully in movie roles, so that's why they handpicked him for this. Now, this guy basically gets transported to, you know, Nazi Germany and Vietnam and stuff like that. And like, you know, he starts suffering the way that all these people he claims to hate have suffered. Basically, the way the skit was originally supposed to end out was he winds up on a train, as the door opens, I mean, this is allegedly, and he falls out and he's back in front of the bar and he sees his friends there, but it's sort of like a Christmas Carol kind of a deal where he's got like a different mindset on racism and, you know, he stops being a bigot. Which would really make sense to have kind of shown him the error of his ways, because he wasn't like he was a bigot, yes, but he didn't actually like hurt anybody, so having him die seems a little like harsh. But anyways, that's how it happens in the movie. He just gets hauled away on the train. Now, the reason for this is, there was a lot of scenes that were cut. He was supposed to, like, rescue these children in, like, a jungle in Vietnam. Well, during the filming of this scene, where he grabs these 2 children and he's trying to carry them across the river, the technicians who were involved with, like, the set design and the special effects and stuff, they warned John Landis, they're like, look, man, you got a helicopter fucking flying around like this, and you got all these explosions and shit happening in very close quarters. This is extremely dangerous. You should really like, but John Landis, I guess, basically was like, you know, fuck you, whatever, let's just do it, let's just roll. So they did this scene, and again, I've seen this video. An explosion goes off as this helicopter is hovering overhead, and the hot air from the explosion push the fucking helicopter topside as Vic Morrow is coming across this river with these kids. And the helicopter blades go down first, whoosh, all 3 of them beheaded like that. Like, instantly just decapitated. This is not a joke. John Landis went to court, I think, for like 3 years. He was on trial for involuntary manslaughter and like criminal negligence or whatever the fuck. And he got off because, you know, well, money. Like, Steven Spielberg does not work with John Landis anymore, and he really wanted to just scrap the entire movie because this was around the time that he had done E.T., and he was afraid that his involvement with this movie was going to basically, like, make him sort of a pariah. And, you know, he really liked, like, working with kids, and he was afraid that, like, nobody would, you know, do that. He didn't want his name on the Twilight Zone movie. Well, he had like a contractual obligation to the studio, and they basically told him, well, you were supposed to direct one of these skits, you're gonna fucking direct a skit, and that's that. So Spielberg, who was originally supposed to do a remake to The Monsters Are Due at Maple Street, which would have been fantastic. I really, really wish that he had directed that. He decided to do Kick the Can, which, like, it was nice, but, like, towards the end it got very schmaltzy, and it just didn't fit in with the rest of the movie. It was the, you know, I mean, you got the Vic Morrow one, which was really choppy for obvious reasons. And then you got Kick the Can, which is like overly sentimental and just doesn't fit in with this anthology horror movie, which is basically what the Twilight Zone movie was supposed to be. So the first half is kind of a little shaky. Then you get to the second half. What's his name? Joe Dante, the guy who directed The Howling. So we got two werewolf movie directors here now. Joe Dante does a remake to the one about the telekinetic kid. I don't know what the name of the episode is called, but his name is Anthony. All of the people in his family are like fucking afraid of him, and they're like trapped in this house with him and shit, and they don't want to piss him off because they're afraid that he's gonna like turn them into a pile of dog shit or something like that. This part of the movie scared the shit out of me when I was a little kid because Joe Dante goes balls to the walls. Like, it's a lot more actually cartoony, but it's sort of like even the people in this house, they're going along with like a child's imagination, a scary fucking child's imagination, but a child's imagination nonetheless, and they're all weird, but like there's this off-putting sense of like something's not right from the very beginning, because Anthony brings this new lady to this house. You know, she hits him with her car by mistake, and she gives him a lift back, and all these people, you can tell they've been like trapped in this house for a long time. Special effects wise for the early 80s, god damn, this was insane. Not giving anything away, but the rabbit, for those of you who have not seen it, watch it and you will know what I am talking about. That scared the shit out of me. So, like, it's brought back, it seems, to the right mood at this point, and it's, like, fucking terrifying, especially for a PG-rated movie. And then they truthfully saved the best for last. They truthfully did, because George fucking Miller, Mad Max George Miller, directed the fourth and final skit from the Twilight Zone movie, and it's a fucking remake to the William Shatner, "There's someone on the wing, something." And it's got John Lithgow, and he's this paranoid fucking dude. He's on a plane ride. He's paranoid from the beginning, so people are like, this guy's sketchy, and he's gonna freak out while the plane's midair, and it kind of adds to the whole, like, you know, is this an illusion, or is this real? But needless to say, he's already paranoid. He sits down, he looks out the window, and he sees this fucking thing walking around on the wing of the plane, which is like, what the fuck? And the visuals for it are so much better. All right, if you watch the Twilight Zone episode, it's like the big fucking shaggy dog. It's like a mop with eyes, and it looks like a Morlock reject from the fucking Time Machine that they like put Brillo pads on. Like, I don't even know how to describe the monster from the original, but the monster and the visuals for the monster on the wing of the plane are far fucking superior in the Twilight Zone movie. It's eerie, but you can see the clouds like going over the wing and shit, so you can only really make out like silhouettes of it. You see it out there with like a rock or something in its hand, and it's beating the shit out of the engines of the plane, and like lightning strikes and one of the fucking engines goes out, and it's fucking creepy. It's really creepy. And by far, you can argue whatever you want for all the other skits, this one is far superior to the original Twilight Zone episode in terms of acting, in terms of special effects, in terms of even like not giving anything away, but the way they change it, they make it more epic and awesome. Then they have a very clever tie-in which sort of brings the entire movie full circle. It really is a cool movie. It's definitely worth the watch. In all actuality, I probably would have been with Spielberg, and they probably should have halted production on the movie, but the movie got made, it does exist, and thus we can examine it for what it is. And it is flawed. The second half is far fucking better than the first half, but overall, as an experience, I think it was a pretty damn creepy movie, and I think that everybody should check it out. I just really kind of wish in some other reality, you know, that shit hadn't happened, so that A, Vic Morrow would still be alive, and B, Spielberg could have done Monsters on Maple Street, because that really would have fit in with the movie a lot better, and it would have improved it so much more as a whole. I think that the original concept that they had was a lot better than what actually came out. But at any rate, that's my opinion. And that is all she wrote.